It's been a while since I made a video, and you know, it's time to get back into it. So we're gonna jump into it with a topic surrounding Illuminati. Oz Media came out with a video discussing some things about the situation, and we're going to take a look at exactly what he was talking about and kind of break it down for you. And for those of you that don't know, Oz Media is a YouTuber with over 500,000 subscribers. And he was actually Blair, aka Illuminaughti's boyfriend. And a majority of this video is going to be Oz talking about this situation on what is going on. And a little update on where his video is at so far, which, by the way, his video that he is making on this situation is gigantic. I think when I seen it, it was like 4 hours long. Anyways, let's jump into it.
I need to make everyone aware, for reasons that I hope this update will make clear. For my safety, I need to put a short and temporary pause on production of my video on Illuminaughtii. The video will still, of course, be produced. I just need to put things on a lower burn and return to regular content for the time being, for many reasons. Some of them being the honest truth that I can't afford to continue at this rate, both fiscally and physically.
Now, I believe he meant to say mentally and physically there, and it's going to take a toll on you, having to focus on something that's not making you money, that you probably really don't even want to do, but you have to do in order to make a good case for what is going on, and having your home taken away, that's just adding on to the stress, which, if you didn't know, Illuminati's trying to take his house, like literally trying to take his house. And what's even worse about this is that she's doing it around Christmas time too, which we'll get to in the video. So it does make sense that he is having to step back and focus on what is making him money, which I think is a good idea, because then it'll give him the mental capacity, the strength to come at this head on and make something that doesn't have, you know, a lot of mistakes in it, something that's so long. You got to make sure it's very precise and accurate, especially when it's coming to your life.
I've put a lot of things in my life on hold to produce this video, ending up with nearly 110 pages of a manuscript which details as much of what I can. And let me tell you something, converting this monstrosity into a video with its accompanying 5,000 screenshots has been one hell of a monumental task for me, a one-person team to embark on.
Wow, so let's take a look at exactly what all he has here in these screenshots. So this video he is working on seems to be over 3 hours long, and look at all of this, what seems to be, I'm assuming is going to be the proof that he's going to be putting in the video. And when you really start to break it down, for those of you that don't know much about video editing, it's important to go back and rewatch your video and make sure there's no errors, or you mispronounce something, or maybe you put something in there that shouldn't be there. And rewatching 3 hours long, you're literally having to sit there and watch 3 hours long, unless you fast forward it a little bit. But still, having to edit this, it takes a long time and a lot of energy too. And it looks like he might have some evidence of what looks to be like 615 screenshots that he's going to have in this video, which is insane.
Has been one hell of a monumental task for me, a one-person team to embark on.
Being the only person working on a video of this size, it takes a lot of work. So you have to make sure you get it right, like I've been saying. I know I sound like a broken record.
I need to pump the brakes and not rush this out for the sake of being able to not stress about my next meal, or my next bill for that matter. Because of this, I need to, and more importantly, I want to.
And I think he's making the right move here by not rushing it out, because doing that is going to just add more stress that's already there. I know it can be very stressful whenever you have some legal issues going on behind the scenes. So I think he's taking the right steps to do this properly and for his mental health as well. And you don't want to have to be worrying about money. Worrying about money is one of the worst stresses you can have, especially when it comes to creating any type of content, art, or something to defend yourself. With money in the back of your mind, it can hinder a lot of creativity. By the way, if you haven't yet, go drop me a follow on my Instagram at Chaz A. Kirschman. I'll have the link down below in my description, as well as my Facebook. I'm trying to get to 5,000 follows on both of them. We're currently at almost 4,000 on Instagram, and we have 4 follows over on Facebook. And I'm going to put different type of content on my Facebook and Instagram. So make sure you follow both of them so you can keep up with what is going on in the Chaz community.
For full transparency, which will be explored more in my future video, Blair and I dated. We were a couple for a decent chunk of time. This puts me in an ungodly complicated situation of doing everything that I can to try and separate the relationship drama from the public drama, as in the process of dating her, there are a lot of things which I bore witness to.
And I think we're going to have a very interesting perspective here from Oz because he did date her. So he got to see into windows that other people didn't get to see into, a closer look at who Blair really is. And, you know, how she is in relationships. Is it comparable to how she is in business as a person?
Before anything else, I want to firmly state that this update is being made with the understanding that there is a likelihood that this will end up in a courtroom. I say this because things have been escalating quite a bit behind the scenes, and the stress has certainly been rising.
Yes, stress is a huge factor when it comes into this, and I think it's great that he has the mindset that this could be used in court. And pretty much anything you put on the internet can be used in court, right? If you're recording something, if you're a content creator, there's a lot of evidence that's going to either contradict how you say you are, or that's going to prove what you say you are. So it's good that he's not coming on here and being irrational, saying negative things, being aggressive. It's good that he has this mindset.
I need to pump the brakes and change directions so I won't be homeless come Christmas. Because that's when Blair set my home to foreclose, right before Christmas.
How crazy is it that Blair just, you know, a slap in the face that I'm taking your home around Christmas, ha ha ha. That's what it feels like. Like, why else would she do that? Pouring salt into the wound, trying to make it worse for him. It's like she lives off of this. She enjoys suffering and seeing ones around her suffer, or maybe those that try to get at her suffer. It's just a really weird and nasty situation.
This situation was a fear and hesitation that I had from the beginning, even telling Wonder as far back as April, a day before my thread went up, that I was mortified that if I spoke out against Blair or even dared to cross her, that she would retaliate with taking my home from me.
That's a very difficult situation to be in when somebody has such power over you where you feel like you can't even speak your voice, you can't even speak your truth because you're scared that they're going to take away what you have, what you've worked for. And it's just a situation that nobody should have to be in.
To me, it feels like Blair is taking every course of action that she can to prevent this video from being produced, from legal threats to trying to take my home, which wouldn't be surprising, considering Blair's alleged white-collar crimes I intend to expose with evidence within my video.
So from what I'm taking from this is that this is going to be a video that Blair definitely doesn't want out. And it's going to be interesting to see if she takes extreme measures to try to keep it from getting out.
In the beginning, Blair walked me into several poor financial decisions. My naivety caused me to believe her reassurances that I could handle all of the financial obligations being dropped onto my shoulders by someone more experienced in life than I was. Why these obligations were placed onto me? At the time, Blair had bad credit, so all of the purchases, loans, everything was being placed in my name. This included the car that she purchased then revoked from Wonderstruck. I was on the loan as a cosigner only because of my credit at the time. Eventually, though, the financial responsibilities that I incurred would stack up on me, building a mountain of monthly debt that would lead me into several financially tight months, and eventually just breaking. This would lead me to asking Blair, my partner, for financial help for things such as my home, which she was living in. Help from my partner, who at any given time would be making up to 30 times my monthly income. These amounts of assistance would be added to a ledger of debt. And I want to clarify again, Blair wasn't my bank. She wasn't my landlord. She was my partner at this time. This ledger also includes things such as a non-refundable design fee and land deposit on a multi-million-dollar custom home that she threatened to break up with me if I didn't agree to proceed on this with her, as well as other financial expenses that I honestly can't account for.
So this very much seems like a situation where, from his point of view, that Blair was taking advantage of him and using him for his credit and his ability to purchase things under his name, but it was Blair's idea giving her the power over him because she also had the money. That seems like a very bad situation to be in, and a very stressful one too, especially when the dynamics get disrupted and you no longer are together, then all hell can rain loose, right? That's when it gets very, very sticky and nasty.
This ledger would creep into the range of $180,000, an insurmountable amount where I don't even understand how she got there. That number ballooned higher and higher, the number ever increasing, and I never questioned it out of guilt for needing help. Guilt from her telling everyone, from her friends to my friends, to her employees, to hell, even her Discord staff, about my finances, oftentimes unprompted. Guilt involving the fact that everyone I interacted with on a day-to-day basis looked down on me for her words towards me. My own partner, the person who was supposed to be my other half, was actively putting me in a position where she was chipping away at my mental health. I was afraid to tell anyone what was happening because she had convinced me that I was a parasite, that
From his perspective, this is definitely a nasty situation where it seems like he trusted her with the finances and she took advantage of it, writing down maybe everything that he had her purchase and some more on top of that. Unless she has the receipts, it could just be fabricated. We'll just have to wait and see if this comes up again. But this is definitely a situation where you want to be keeping track of your money and what's going on here and what you're owing who what, because things like this can happen when you get around people that are seeking to take advantage of people and take their money.
I avoided telling anyone who could have helped me see what was happening out of fear of further confirmation. More eyes looking down on me. Something to note, when you're around Blair, your world revolves around her. In my case, my home was hers, despite her name not being on it. I had no friends out in Colorado, a state that I moved to at the behest of Blair. Only Blair's friends were out here. All of my connections had to be approved by her. I wasn't allowed to be friends with people she didn't like, such as Click in One Topic, or even Wonder, once that bridge was burned and reduced to cinders.
It does seem like Blair likes getting people around her that she can control. For example, getting people around her that doesn't have a ecosystem of healthy friendships, other people they can consolidate with, other people they can talk to about things. She likes to keep them close and in her circle so she can influence them the way that she wants to influence them, with no other influence on the outside, giving her all the power and making the other person feel like everything they're doing is wrong and they're questioning everything and they're scared to even make a move, to do anything.
I was even in a position where my finances were nearly entirely controlled by her, from what debts I took on to later being the fact that she was the person who signed my paychecks. All while my world was painted to me in a light where I should be grateful for her generosity.
And again, she wanted ultimate control, and in this circumstance, she had it. And then when she no longer feels like she needs that person or doesn't have control, she tries to get rid of them and then ends up in a situation like this.
It wasn't until recently, when I explained my situation to my parents, my friends outside of Blair's control, that I began to understand just how perverse my life had become for nearly 3 years. And I want to add, I tried to pay Blair back in any way that I could, by the way.
And that's another thing about this situation. When you're that close, when you're in it, it's hard to see out of it. It's hard to see the bigger picture. It's hard to take yourself away from the situation and examine it. And I can see how where he started telling other people, he was like, oh my God, I'm in this situation. This is happening. This is okay. So this is actually a bad thing. And it's easy to get lost in it when you're that close and you don't have anybody else to talk to.
While I worked for Blair's company, I helped improve it in any way that I could with my knowledge of how YouTube worked. I was able to assist in the push for Blair's channel to make the sudden and stark rise into a new payout range of 6 figures a month. All while I was being paid not even enough to get by with my monthly bills.
Wow, that's crazy. So he's over there assisting, giving her information, helping her grow her YouTube channel, making it better, up to 6 figures a month. And he's not getting any of it. I mean, it sounds like a basic Blair move.
And Blair was very aware of my finances. I sacrificed a lot of my time to try and recoup this debt while also trying to help save her channel.
Now, if I was in a situation where I had a significant other that I actually cared about, I would be doing everything in my power to help them. I understand that you can't just be giving out money nilly-willy, but when it comes to someone you love, if you really do care about them, you're going to help them in any way you can. You're not going to have a ledger and keep track of everything that they've ever spent so that way they can pay you back. Or the relationship, in my perspective, in my opinion, is something where you're growing together. So by you helping them, it's helping you, and you're going to grow and elevate to another level. But I guess Blair doesn't see it that way.
Because in 2021, due to personal and private reasons expressed to me by Blair, this would lead me to up and almost entirely abandon my channel throughout the year of 2022.
So it seems like maybe Blair convinced him to quit focusing on his altogether. That way Blair could grow her channel and make more money in the long term. I don't know. I guess we'll see in the things that come from the video.
When I was 23 and Blair was nearly 31, Blair, with her lawyer, would create an honestly quite confusing legal document for me to sign where I would agree to pay back her debt. Blair, being the person who signed my checks, knew that I couldn't afford legal representation. Blair also knew that the $2,500 that she was having me pay monthly towards that debt was almost as much as I was making monthly working for her.
That definitely doesn't seem like a situation where you're caring for the person that you're with. And it definitely does seem like she was taking advantage of his lack of knowledge, his ignorance, because he is 21. You're not really going to know that much about finances at that age unless it's something that you've been taught by your parents or something you've been studying since you're in your teens, right? So it can be argued that possibly Blair was taking advantage of his ignorance and using it against him and confusing him.
This would mean that I could barely pay for anything else in my life other than the debt that I owed her. Everything I made working for her was going right back into her pocket.
And let's face it, you're not going to do this to someone that you love, especially if you're making 3 figures a month. I believe that's what he said. She was making a lot of money. It wasn't like money was an issue. So why wouldn't you want to help somebody that you love?
Blair would bring me to her lawyer's office, put me in a room alone with the two of them, with papers in front of me. Papers which I foolishly signed for a myriad of reasons, ranging from Blair expressing that this would mend our relationship, that it was the right thing for me to do, that this would also protect her legally and prevent her from getting into trouble with the IRS. She also would describe to me, and while I can't remember if this exact word was ever used, she essentially explained to me that because she used company funds to assist me, that she had committed embezzlement. And by converting the amount that I owed her into a loan with her company, this would save her skin legally.
I don't know if that's true or not, but Blair could be saying this just to get him to do what she wants, get him in a position that she wants him in. And is that really too far-fetched?
To most people, that word may not have a lot of meaning. But to me, when I was 11, my mother was incarcerated for this exact crime, a remnant of the 2008 financial crisis. This taught me a very harsh lesson from an early age, but more importantly, Blair was aware of this past of mine. Whether this was used against me, I can't say for certain, but the idea of another person I loved being locked away, but this time for my actions, words cannot describe the guilt that I had.
So this is interesting because there are examples of Blair using people's past traumas against them and using it to pivot the other person into the situation that she wants them in. So I think she could have definitely done this on purpose.
As I briefly stated earlier, Blair used this debt as a promise that this would specifically help mend our relationship, not our friendship, and put us on a better foot. It wouldn't be until a few weeks after signing that document that I would learn that she had already moved on, and had almost everyone in my daily life keep this fact a secret from me. Blair used all of this, promises of reconciliation and other factors, which will soon be further elaborated on, as means to get me to sign a document known as a deed of trust.
So she's literally just saying whatever she can to say to get him to do what she wants him to do.
I wasn't aware of the power that this document held, what it does, what it allowed her to do. Again, I couldn't afford legal representation. She knew this. This document gave her the power to foreclose if I was unable to make a monthly payment of nearly $2,500 for nearly a decade.
Wow. Nearly a decade of $2,500. That is insane. And if he misses a payment, he has to foreclose his house. Like, what? That is an insane document to sign. Any normal person would not sign that if they were able to read through it and know what the document says. But I'm sure she definitely had that document worded in such a way where it was very difficult to read. And especially with him being in that room, pressured, and everything else that's going on behind the scenes, and her just convincing him to sign it, that is a very bad situation to be in, and that sucks.
Knew that even with my income working for her, that this wasn't possible. So it feels as though she knew that I would be destined to fall behind, that this outcome was inevitable.
Wow.
If the home is foreclosed or if I decide to sell, Blair gets an immediate payout, and it's because of this that I'm hesitant to take the easy way out. There's also the fact that there's just not enough equity in the home, that if this were to foreclose upon, Blair would still be out money, and she could then sue me further.
Wow.
To get that money back. If you're looking for an easy point of evidence, as you can see with Wonder, Blair has a habit of taking advantage of younger men, 8 years younger than her, and their financial illiteracy for her own personal gain.
So it's going to be really interesting when he releases this video. I am very curious to see what kind of evidence he has, because everything that he is saying here, it's leading to her taking advantage of his ignorance with finances and just taking advantage of younger men in general and using their past trauma against them. I look forward to seeing that video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole situation, and I'll see you in the next video.